Good afternoon, Auntie Marla. How are you?
I'm fine. Auntie Marla is kind of does that make me an old head or because we're not related? So I got to figure that out. I'm
No.
like, is Auntie the phrase of du jour? Is that what we're doing?
That's the phrase. That is the phrase. It's with the phrase of respect.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Well, good evening.
Good evening. Yes. So, how are you doing? I want to make sure that
I'm doing fine, you know. My life is what I now call ordered chaos. So um just in keeping with the rhythm of my own life. Like, you know, you look around and there are things that you may desire or whatever. This is so as my life goes, I'm fine. It's status, I call it status quo. So
yeah,
status quo, considering what I deal with in my life, you know, with all the issues and blah blah, that most are public. I always just say that on a day that I can say status quo, that means this is a day that I'm not dealing with a current crisis, but that could change tomorrow. So today is a good day.
I deeply understand that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak with you today. Um, I follow you on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and I've listened to some of the things that you've been going through. And I think it's important for us to have a real conversation because so many of us don't talk about this in our families, even in our roles at work. But I think that it's good for us to recognize what mental health awareness looks like and then make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and then those that we love. If you don't mind, are you okay with sharing a little bit of your story?
Oh, no problem. But I'm sitting here smirking because if you follow me on Instagram, you know why people don't talk about it. Because the example of what happens in my life is a blaring reason why. You know, it's already tough to deal with these issues and then to meet the resistance of friends, family, and public because you are sharing the truth and you are trying to bring light to and you are trying to use transparency to expose in an effort to transform, not to shame. And so, but it's one of those things that it doesn't matter. The minute the subject comes up, and God forbid, like in my case, you know, it involves my children. So, you know, there's this unspoken, strange but destructive loyalty I feel in our community when
Mhm.
it comes to, and I'll speak to the parent-child relationship. You know, I don't have children. They're adults.
Mhm.
And, you know, I always now have a phrase that just basically says, you know, meet the ball in which the force in which it comes. If my, I still would be outspoken in whatever circle and arena that I was in based on what I've experienced. But it just so happens that my life is been projected into the public by no call of my own.
Right.
So my being a wife of somebody who was a 10-time Grammy winner and a daughter of somebody who is, you know, was a professional ball player in the major leagues and blah, 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 blah. My life still didn't require this type of conversation until it hit the stage of a love and hip hop. And now here I am. But it's public. So if we're gonna expose something publicly, let's talk about the truth. Let's
Right.
not just be out here and I'm going to try to create a reality for you that will serve a purpose instead of just dealing with what the thing is.
Mhm.
And that's what I've been forced to do, and that's what I'm going to have to do. And unfortunately, it's rough. I think the only mistake or misnomer is that my dealing with things truthfully tends to make people feel like I'm unaffected or it's for all the wrong reasons. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. I am most affected. And
Mhm.
I will continue to say, and my tag is always, as I speak everywhere, you know, remember, America, you're being entertained by my pain. These are still my children.
Right. Nope. I completely agree with that. And honestly, if America is being honest, when they go on social media, they're putting their best foot forward. They're only showing the glamorous things that are happening in life. But we all have something in our life or someone in our lives that are affected by it. And it's been this taboo secret that no one talks about, but we whisper about in our family, or we're looking for that family member, or we're afraid of the family member because we don't know how they're going to react when they come around.
Well, that's you hit on it. I mean, that's what my work on this planet has now become. Mm-hmm. My work on this planet is to erase the stigma. And at the same time, I understand it. I mean, I understand very clearly, my conversation, I try to be careful because I know my daughter in particular, Monique, mm-hmm. does not like the exposure of what is actually the truth. Mm-hmm. Hence my page being taken down, all those things, because you could look through and see that the love that is here, you can't really deny it. This right. is not, I hate being compared to, I call them reality drama mamas. Not mad at them, but even when I was on Love and Hip Hop, the one thing I told the producers, don't put me in anybody else's storyline. I have enough to deal with over here, and I'm not in it to be in a mom fight or to be, going off or interjecting myself in another cast member story. Because for me, it was real. People would say, "Oh, was it scripted?" And I wish it was, because then I could say, "Oh, girl, please, I was acting." Mm-hmm. No, but it isn't. And this is really my family. And this is the most extreme edited projection of a truth that actually does exist. And so that's what that is. And so for me now, and I understand it, I do get the fact that there's certain, even within mental health, there are certain diagnoses that I call darling diagnoses. We can wrap our heads around anxiety. Right. And we can wrap our heads around depression. Mm-hmm. We have a really hard time wrapping our heads around extremes, borderline mm-hmm. personalities, mm-hmm. Schizoaffective, schizophrenic personalities, mm-hmm. bipolar that acts out in extreme ways. We've seen it in several, actors and especially in our community. And I almost want to say like Maya Campbell. I don't know if I'm Maya, that I'm saying her name correctly. There's one like we feel for her, but let's not deal with that. Like, let's back up. And so I do understand Monique in particular, and I say this all the time, where I do defend her mm-hmm. is not in her behavior, but I do defend the fact that why would she want to own a diagnosis that is going to leave her in a particular light? But in my mind, which it finally came to, I had to explain the extreme behavior in a hopes to create an understanding that would give way to compassion, that would stop blindly exploiting her illness. Because when you're doing what you're doing, that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. You know that you were told by me before film one ever clicked on mm-hmm. what she was dealing with and what it would look like for her in real life versus maybe other cast members who are using the platform for popularity to grow something else, to do something else. And we'll play this role and we'll get into these extremes because I can withstand this amount of created drama. For her, it's not that. Right. It's in real life. It's every day. And yes, there is a child. And yes, all of these things are impacted. And as a mother, I'm destroyed by that. Yeah. And then I'm disgusted by my community. Just keep that out there. Mm-hmm. Because we claim all these things that are so broken about our community. And here you have an outspoken, educated, intact family who's dealing with something, and you tear me up like, and that's fine. I mean, in other words, I'm not saying this to stop that. I'm just trying to say these things because I need to continue to explain to people, this is why we are stagnant and sinking and don't get help. Mm-hmm. Because if anyone else who doesn't have half of the Constitution that I have is watching what you're doing to me, you think they're going to come out and deal with their family situation? You better believe they're not. They're not. Because who wants this? Who wants the pain of what we're going through silently? And then the exterior punishing of a community that will not accept and does not understand and will continue to ostracize and blame and indict you. Who wants that? Nobody.
Nobody. But I want you to see and know that those of us that understand, we didn't see it as you were putting her on blast, so to speak. I saw love. I saw that is my baby, and give her a moment. She's understanding herself in this moment. She is trying to process what she's going through. And I also think that it is important for everyone to see what you all are dealing with, because like I said, we're all dealing with it. I have family members with schizophrenia, bipolar behavior, and alcohol triggers it. Some people
Dual
may
diagnosis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In conjunction.
Yes, exactly. And sorry, I was cutting you off when you were speaking.
No. I was just putting a title to what you were saying, which was dual. It's called dual diagnosis. Keep going. Yeah.
And some people don't think that maybe marijuana will trigger this. Anything can trigger it. So it's important for them to process it, to get to know themselves, to go through therapy, and then make sure that if they decide to take medication, because we can't force that on anyone.
Right.
But they do take their medication and they have the correct prescription. Like I said, I see this in my family. I've been the contact person for someone for, I'm going to say, probably it's been over 15 years. So I know what it feels like to be waking up in the middle of the night and not know how to help that person. You're not right there with them. But I think it's important to educate people so that they can start to feel safe, understand some of the things that they may see, because they may look and say, well, why on earth is this person triggered? You're triggering them. How do we know what their triggers are? And it could be anything.
Well, and I think yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I also think that I think about this a lot. It's going to take a minute for people to understand the difference because of our current culture, between acting out and real mental health challenges. People probably don't realize the statistic that 80% of most people in entertainment are struggling with this, which is one of the reasons essentially that they can access all of these things. And most people have governors. I can only get so mad. Well, Moniece doesn't have that stop. That filter's not there. So, when the feelings are hurt, the level she feels hurt, she's coming at you with a disproportionate amount of fury. Number one, it goes straight from hurt feelings to anger. That's a personality disorder problem. Right. And so we don't see that. Like I spoke recently, and I spoke about Krishan Rock.
Yes.
And I happened to a YouTube snippet showed up on my on my alerts, and she was at church and whatever, and it sparked me to comment, which I rarely do, but I immediately saw someone who is not dealing with a personality disorder at all. She is dealing with history and trauma in her family. But how do I know that, Marla? The minute I listen and she starts becoming accountable for herself, I put myself here. These are poor choices that I have made. And I said, whoa, because I know better. You'll never hear that from my child. It's everybody else's fault. But yet everywhere you go crumbles. Can't always be the whole world and not you. But when you begin to deal with those personality disorders, and for me, it's so intense because inside trying to help fix and enlighten for 34 years solid before I just had to say, because when I'm out of the picture, it's the only way that I can prayerfully hope she sees herself. So now whatever dramas you've had, which has been many, can't have anything to do with me. We're not even talking. So this can't be mom's problem. Can't be your mom's doing this. At some point, because I'm the closest one, the one who's always stuck in there, the one who's always trying to manage what you're bringing me at all times. So when I look at that, I'm like, man, the cultural feeding that we have has played such a big part in this. And the drama, the drama, we are so drama driven that we're no good for ourselves.
Mm-mm.
And that's a sad thing. So I use Kanye West as an example. He's not well.
No,
He's in a
not.
moment of not being well. But here's the thing. Can any of us stop that? No. But why are we all tuned into the train wreck? Chris Cuomo, which I respect, put him on his show. You could have not done that. But you did it because you need the fireworks drive ratings, no matter what you say. You can say, I can't call them on there to say, hey man, are you okay? You could do that off air. I don't need to have you on my show to find out and say, I'm worried about you. Are you good?
Right.
So I'm pleading to the media, the bloggers, and everybody who picks up a platform to say, you know what, we cried, not we, me, Marla was not in this, but I watched it very closely because I knew what it was about. Free Britney from her conservatorship. Free Britney, free Britney. And I was silent. And I was like, people don't get it.
They don't get
it. Even conserved, you can say whatever you want to say about her dad. But if you've done your homework in mental illness and mental health, as we have, you're instructed to be sure that they stay productive. I need to say that. That's an actual mental health instruction for this to happen. And so now all of a sudden there's no conservatorship, and look where we are. Look where she is.
Right.
But you thought you knew best.
Right.
And so you're looking at things through the shoes and the eyes of a brain balanced person, if that's who you are. And you'll never understand those differences because A, you haven't educated yourself to understand them. Period.
Right.
And B, if it's not affecting you and you see what you want to see, which is someone that you've been attached to on the peripheral, which is a whole other ballgame. You're on the outside. You're not in my family. You don't know. You haven't been there from day one breath till now. You haven't fought these micro fights and tears and scrapes and scuffs and broken bones and all these things through the years. You haven't fought them. But yet we're brave enough to step forward and have an opinion that's detrimental to those who suffer. And that is where, again, I roll into the lane of disgust. I'm disgusted.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. People think that they can love people into being okay. And that's your child. And if you could love your baby into being okay, then I don't know why people think that they can. Social media gives people the audacity, and that's the problem.
Right. But they're not audacious to your face.
Right.
They're keyboard cowards.
Right. Instead of seeking to understand. And I think that's where we need to be, because even for me, so I like the reason why I started doing podcasts is because when I interview, I have panic attacks. I freak my own self out. So even
why are you doing that?
Right. And that's the thing, like, what is wrong with you? I literally had to have a podcast with myself over the weekend to say, what was wrong with me? What made me do that? But then you're psyching your own self out. So we have to understand ourselves first before we can even understand somebody else.
Right. True.
But most people won't even get to that point to try to understand themselves. And that's part of the problem.
Right. Well, because it's easier to look outside than it is to fix inside. Always. It's much easier. You blame somebody else, then it's not. What can you do? If it's out of once I put the blame on somebody else, then your system of life will tell you that it's not my fault. It's out of my control. It's what that really says. So then changing your movement, behavior, and trajectory will never happen because it's not me, it's you. So if it's you, I can't fix you. So I can just be mad at you and I can talk about you and I can make all the issues about you. But what about me? Me is the only one I can control. So that's rough for people to deal with.
And 5 years from now, still be stuck in the same position to where, oh, I don't know how to move forward. So now I'm all about change and making adjustments and understanding.
Right.
So that I can be in a different place. So for other people that want to learn, because you have people that are listening to you every time you pop on a live. So people are listening, they are involved, they want to know, and some people are suffering in silence.
Which I will say this to those who are. Here's my big statement. And this is huge when it comes to silent suffering. Suffering in silence will not change your suffering. It will just guarantee that you don't get help and nothing will change.
Yeah.
Period. That's a statement. It doesn't, silence does not erase suffering. It's just a guarantee that no one will be able to hear you or help you. So it's never good for me. I just believe in responsible honesty and transparency, which I believe to be transforming.
Me too. Be open to change, open to learn. And first, you got to take that accountability in order to move forward.
Right.
I completely agree. I think that everybody needs therapy too. It's important for everybody to be able to come to terms with whatever their past was in order to move towards their future, and then be able to reconcile any issues that were there. Do you believe in going to therapy?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, if I could do anything, I would institute therapy just as a regular practice, like a going to the doctor and having a checkup. I think that I was saying this the other day when I spoke in Hollywood. I said, if you had the most expensive car on the planet, let's just say you had a Bugatti and it had everything in it. It was pure gold on the inside. All the stuff was top notch, but the engine was messed up. You don't have anything. Your car can't run. But we will not spend time on our engines. We don't want to go get an oil change. Those are maintenance things. We don't want that. To me, therapy is maintenance for an outside perspective that will continue to help you open yourself up to grow. So my goal in life, my tag is for myself, see me, hear me, grow with me. God put me in a position where I can penetrate all platforms. I can do this physically. I can write. You can hear my voice. I can be heard. So see me, hear me. But all of it is for the reason that I'm trying to grow up every day. And I don't mean grow up because I'm a kid or I'm immature. I mean grow up. I want to grow into more and more into an elevated person. It's important for Marla to be the best Marla, and I can't do that if I'm hiding from me or you.
Right.
I gotta not hide. What am I? And I speak it. I speak so passionately because I'm one of the few that can break all of the chains that people admire or that bond them. Because it doesn't matter who I am, where I live, what I have, what I drive, who my daughter is. I suffer through this. We are the same. We have a condition, all of us, called human. We are in the same human condition as the next person. The only reason that I am where I am is because God needed my spirit to be housed in this body, which came through two people that I had no control about, so that I could give him the glory and so that I could be brave enough and strong enough. And listen, I was telling Dave this the other day, my husband, maybe 2 days ago. I said, it's almost phenomenal that at 55, I only speak passionately about the things, and I'm critical about the things I've endured. I'm critical about the reckless behavior of a teen mom. I was one. Not because I read a book or because I did that shiznit. I put everything else aside.
Right.
Which is here are the things that, in Monisa's sickness, she has systematically tried to use to discredit. Or she had help, blah, blah, blah. Girl, stop it. You have more help you and Drew, than anybody,
Mhm.
because you have villages of people. I just got back off vacation with my 13-year-old grandson by myself.
Mhm.
We're always here. So for me, I know what it was like to be 19 and delivering a baby right after my 19th birthday. And I know what it's like to have a dad who's not right, which is her biological father, and taking a 6-month-old baby at 19 and never looking back,
Mhm.
and keeping her protected, and ending up marrying Dave, who I'd known since second grade, who was always a phenomenal person. He was my best friend, because I did not want to put Moniece in particular in the hands of any possible harm.
Right.
Emotionally, physically, none of it.
Mhm.
So there was no dating for me. There was no party life for me. There was no clubbing. There was none of that. Now, am I criticizing you for doing those things? No, but what I'm saying is I've learned by experience that a good parent puts their kids first. I can't put you first if I'm out here like this.
Mhm.
Now, that's a choice you can make, but I don't respect it. And I
Mhm.
can say it out loud, because your time can come again. You made a choice.
Mhm.
That was your choice.
Mhm.
So this is what comes with that sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I'm not, no, I'm not, so you can call me, you're not a mom, you're a drill sergeant, say what you want to say. I said what I meant on Love and Hip Hop, and I meant every freaking word of it. Now, the way you put it in context, because it comes from love, but the reality is I said it then and I say it again. Moniece and Drew came to us. They knew how we felt and what we said. And I said, listen, this is not a dog in a bag. You can't just have a baby because it's trendy and not happy, not understand that this is the forefront of your entire life.
Right.
So when you insist on going forward, when you were warned by the doctor not to go down this road, which is the truth, and you can't come back to me and say, hey, take over custody. No, I'm going to be his grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be present as a grandmother, but this is your primary responsibility.
Right.
I raised my 3. I agreed. My husband was in and out of town all the time, traveled still. So I did that. I was boots on the ground. And you're complaining about one? And there are families out here, single mothers and fathers who've got 2, 3, 4 kids who don't have any help.
Yeah.
You can drop your kids off. Moniece, you lived with me until you acted up so bad it didn't work. But we've always had Cameron. Cameron's always ready to come back. So the point that I'm making is, yes, I speak passionately about that because I want this message to be heard. So that generation can say, hey, maybe just slow up.
Right.
You don't have to go down this road. But once you do, this baby is first.
Right.
I told Drew, I don't expect you to become I said, I expect you to become a wise father. And he kind of looked panicked. We were in the hospital. I said, no, I don't expect for it to happen overnight. But a wise father is somebody who's going to understand the sacrifice of always putting your son first. So after that, because we all have to learn.
We do.
I'm not perfect, but I was present.
No.
Every day I was present. And I was present with the mindset of, it's not me, it's you. What do you need? How can I be there for you? How can I ask God to give me more so I can be a parent that you can be proud of? Just anything.
No, you're on point. You, and the funny thing is the kind of parent you are is the parent that I was. I dropped everything.
Yeah.
I was in the industry. I modeled. I did the commercials, demo, all that. And then it was like, my life is for my kids, because if I don't protect them, this world will devour them.
Right.
And I don't regret it. They're amazing. My son is a professional wrestler. You can see him on TNT.
Nice.
My daughter, my oldest daughter, she is working in the field, paramedic field right now. And then my baby girl, she's going to school for nursing. So
nice. Congrats.
thank you. I don't regret it at all. One of the things that I think that people need to know, and I know I don't want to keep you too long.
No, it's okay.
Oh, I think people need to understand before they have children, first, the responsibility of being a parent. But then I don't think that people understand once you have a child, you have other triggers. So that postpartum can trigger things too that maybe wasn't there before.
Right.
How do they get that kind of help? Because doctors, to me, I'm just going to say, when I was pregnant with my children, I don't feel like the doctors did enough thorough examinations. Now, my middle daughter, she has ADD, ADHD, social
Mhm.
anxiety. But I was a young parent too. So I probably, because I was protecting them so much, I probably held them in, way too much and stressed them
I'm
out.
guilty of that myself. I think I held on too long. But I think that, number one, like everything else we've been talking about, it's the same thing. We double back, and it's acceptance.
Mhm.
We try so much to present norm that we're not willing to say, this is not right. I have feelings here that, I had postpartum badly with Monique's, a little bit with DJ, nothing at all with Lexi. But um, I I was like to my mom, something's wrong. So I had like 10 to 12 days of severe postpartum, and then I just was like, okay, let's get the show on the road. Like but I was able to express that without trying to pretend like it wasn't the case.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So I think that accepting the mindset that you're in, and what you're actually facing is step number one. Because most people don't.
Mm-mm. You don't know what's going on because I had postpartum with my son.
Right.
My brother went into prison, and then I had my son, and all of a sudden, I didn't know why I didn't want to get out of the bed. And
Mm-hmm.
he's my ex-husband at this point, but he said, I need help. You have to snap out of it. And it literally snapped me out. But everybody's not going to be that easy to be able
Right.
to come out of that.
Right. Well, that's the advice there. Being in tune, being accountable, and not being afraid to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Tell somebody close to somebody, a friend, share those feelings, because I promise you help can come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I love that. Um, Something else that is really important that I want to know, and maybe you can help some other people too. When there is an episode that takes place, a lot of people will automatically call the police. Who are they supposed to call? And if they do call the police, are they aware or trained to be able to take care of that?
I'm going to tell you something this is an exclusive. So as you know, we have our show Mental Health Mondays. It's a live podcast on Mondays. And recently, as of where are we, September? Was it the beginning of the year? Within this year, they've introduced a mental health hotline, 988.
Mm, very good.
Now I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to be totally real transparent here. So we promoted 988. Well, last week when I was in Los Angeles, I was on my way to get my nails done, and I was way early. I had been to the doctor with my youngest daughter, who's also having a baby. And as God would have it, my appointment was at 1:30. Here I come, headed a block from the nail shop at about 12:40. And I crossing an intersection, I hear all these horns honking, and I see a woman, she looked like a woman at the time, later I had more details, standing in the street, and a car had pulled right up to her. She was just standing there. Everybody was honking their horns. Mm-hmm. And I passed by, and I looked, and I was like, what is going on? Like, did somebody hit her? No, she's standing there. Then immediately, as God would have it, my brain said, mental health challenge. And I said, damn it. And I turned around because I knew that I was like, I got to help. And I had time. So it wasn't even like I could have the excuse of, oh, yeah, I would have turned, but I can't. So I flipped, did a U-turn, parked my car. As I parked my car, the woman who was closest to her couldn't back up or do anything. She was in the right-hand turn lane. Well, a guy went around her as I was exiting my car, pulls diagonally and throws a bottle of urine out of his vehicle onto this girl. Now I found out later she's 15. People are not, get out of the effing street, and throws a plastic bottle that he clearly peed in his car and threw it at her. And I ended up talking her down. And at that moment, when I got her out of the street, and I said to the lady, like, quick, go. And I thought, I started asking her questions, and I was like, let me call 988, because I advertise it, but I've never used it. There were 3 prompts given. And I will say this, 988 is a work in progress. Not yet. Okay. Prompt number 1 prompts you to call, to hit 1 if you're a vet, hit 2 if you're in crisis and you're in the LGBTQI community, and 3 for everyone else in crisis, stay on the line. And then the advice I was given when looking for emergency help to help this girl who said she'd been thrown out, blah, 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 is to call my local Department of Mental Health. So I have had to call the police multiple times with my son. Mm-hmm. And the police are being trained, but let me give you the best. This is something that I'm actually looking to partner to maybe even take a position with the Department of Mental Health in California to help, because we can do much better if we understand de-escalation.
Right.
So here are the tips. Number 1, by the time a loved one calls the police, it is very necessary, because it is always safety first. We're not calling the police because I can't get him to take his medication, or he's calling me out of my name, I'm calling the cops. That's not what we're calling the police for. We're calling the police because there's an imminent safety issue between you and the person who's suffering. That's number 1. So keep that in mind. It's hard to call the police because we understand the impending possible danger of the police interacting with our African-American male loved one in particular. It's not easy. So you're not calling the police because you want the police to shoot your family. So that's already going to mean that by the time you make that call, you're at wit's end. You got nothing else. Number 2, you must secure the area. What does that mean, Marla? That means you're going to call 911. You're going to get everybody out of the house, the children, the pets, the grannies and the grandmas, the aunties and the uncles, the cousins. Everybody's got to get out. So the police are only dealing with this one person. Okay. Number 3, you're not going to let that police come to your door. You're going to meet them away from the scene on your street corner, or give them a coordinate that is not at your home. You're going to lead them to your home as the person who's called. When I call the police, they do not ever come to my house. I meet them outside on the street, the main thoroughfare. And I say, hey, I wave them down. I'm the one. I said, are you going to, and I gave my address. Yes, I said, you're going to see my son. I called you. I'm his mother, and my hands are here. I'm his mother. My son suffers from bipolar 1 schizoaffective disorder. Okay. There's no one else in the home. There are guns in my home, but they are properly safed. He has 0 access. Biometric thumbprints. I'm just saying, this is a true story for me. And there are knives in the home. In the kitchen, he's never used a knife. So that's not a danger that I see, but if you're asking me, yes, there are knives in the home because we have a kitchen and we cook. Right. All right. My son wants most to be heard. These are my words. What he wants most to be heard. His father and I do hear him. We listen to him. Sometimes it's not enough. So I would like for 2 of your 8 officers, choose which 2 would like to approach. Please go to the front door. I promise you he'll answer it. Do not come through my garage and go up through the studio, because there's too many blind turns. And what he is now is mental confusion. He's got auditory hallucinations. So I need one officer to do the speaking. Speak calm and easy. The other officer needs to just go ahead and slightly stand guard, which just means he stands there with his hands on his weapon, just in case he has to draw. DJ has gone with them every time. He's never fought the police. It was exactly what I said. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be heard. So I'm saying that the greatest example I can use, I watched this scenario with the girl maybe a year and a half ago, and she had the knife, and she was outside, and some girls had come to beat her up. It was a public story because they shot her 5 times. And
Yeah, I remember
everybody
her.
was outside filming, screaming, yelling. He said, put the knife down, put the knife down, put it down. He asked her 5 times. And she felt like she was being attacked, and she went to swing with the knife, and the officer unloaded, and she died. But the point that I'm making is the family turned the scene chaotic. I'm not blaming the family, but that was the greatest opposite example that I can point to that will give you a proof of what I'm saying.
I remember watching your live one day, and I came in late, and I remember you being away from your home. But you gave us every step that you were taking, letting us know that you were safe.
Yeah,
So your directions and what you said, your baby has been safe every single time.
every
I think
time.
that's it's important for people to know that that case, it seemed like it may have been swept under the rug because I forgot all about that.
Well, that was not a case, which is the minute it happened. I was like, if they think Ben Crump is going to pick this up, they're ridiculous. It's not going to happen.
Mhm.
Because, like I say, when you really consider what law enforcement is doing, is to protect and serve. And
Right.
so my goal is to secure the scene as a police officer against harm, and including I have legal permission to use lethal force, which is subjective to every situation.
Right.
And so, if you can't reason with somebody because they're already out of their minds. I mean, DJ's definitely out of his mind. You could talk to him for 2 seconds and be like, oh, something's not right here. But you're also helping. If you can only imagine, if you're hearing voices in your head and I'm yelling at you out here, and the police are standing over here saying, put down, get down, and they're yelling at you, the chaos in here is already a lot. So
Mhm.
when that's happening, I don't even speak. I'm not trying to interject. And the officer, the first time, he said, do you want us to do this? Yes or no? And I said, sir, we're on the same team. And
Stop
he
yelling.
calmed right down. I'm like, because in other words, if you got this, then because I was doing what I'm telling you.
Right.
Basically, well, if you think you know, then why are we here? And I said, hey. I said, sir, we are on the same team. And it was that officer who was the one later that did all the conversation with my son. And he
Okay.
voluntarily walked to the car. We gave him clothes, and he went and got checked into the mental hospital.
Mm. So it sounds like, and I know that everybody's going to be different, but it sounds like with your son, he knows to feel safe with the police. He trusts you. He trusts his dad, but somewhere in there, he's trying to
No, he doesn't.
communicate.
Not when he's psychotic. He
No.
can't trust anybody. No, the point is you're de-escalating the environment. So when when you don't have logic, which is again rolls right back to Moniz, it's all about feeling. So
Okay.
poor Moniz, poor baby, when she feels hurt, her level of hurt is 10 times greater than everybody else, and her response does not meet the moment. So if you step on her toe and she feels like you've wounded her, all she's doing is feeling. Her logic doesn't go, well, maybe because it was an accident, or maybe their foot's too big, or maybe I got too close to the. We're doing all these things simultaneously. Our wise mind, our reasoning mind, and our emotional mind are operating and clicking together. Hers are not. It's all emotion. So it's what I feel. And so I'm going to kill your dog because I feel like you deserve that amount of suffering. I just have to explain it because people don't.
Understand that. Right.
Here's a good explanation. And I've said this to Moniz, and I'll say it again. I'll never stop saying it. She's every now and then she'll text and whatever, and it's still all blame. And if you're logical, all the stuff you went through in the last 2 years
Mhm.
had nothing to do with me. I wasn't the one that had myself in that situation. I wasn't the one that publicly wanted to advertise it. As
Right.
a matter of fact, I'm the one behind the scenes for 4 months saying, stop, stop, stop,
Mhm.
leave this person. and their family alone. Please stop. But in her mind, you've abandoned me. Him. And I explained this on a line. I said, so the level of hurt and rejection gets met with this unreasonable response.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the toe, I stepped on your toe, and in her mind, those feelings are worth me killing your dog.
Mm.
In real life, it didn't meet the moment.
Yeah.
But to her, it's all feeling. It's all, you can't stop and say, my mom went to court. Your mother didn't want to be in court. But because you were in this situation, yes, I was called to court.
Mm-hmm.
Worst thing for me too. You know what I'm saying? That's not me bringing a case against you for someone else. You got me in the middle of your shit. And I'm still trying to do what's possible to love you at some level. Yeah. So people don't really understand that. I'm like, you're 36. These are choices. Now, let's get to this. I understand mental illness more than anyone else. It is not an excuse to mistreat and abuse others.
Right.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it again. I understand mental health and all of it, and I have compassion for it and all the behaviors that come along with it. But it doesn't make me erase the responsibility that you have for someone else. It's not permission. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Dahmer doesn't get permission to not be accountable for eating people, even though he was out of his damn mind.
I think he was a different kind of out of his mind.
Yeah, he was. And I'm not going to put my kids to that, but it doesn't matter. When you fall into the category, which I say openly, mm-hmm. when your lies begin to damage someone emotionally, physically, or financially, it is a crime. Donald Trump, you will pay. Now it's a crime. It's not just, you can be a liar, but when your lies defame me, when your lies take money out of my pocket, mm-hmm. when your lies emotionally damage me, these two women who can't leave their house because of the voter thing with Donald Trump, because you allege that these are the people who stole the votes, and now she and her mother are basic prisoners in Atlanta, changing their names and doing all kind of stuff because you got your mob after them. Emotional damage. Did that make them lose money? Well, maybe because they can't go to work, but the reality is you've emotionally jacked them up because of a lie. That's a crime. Mm-hmm. I can tell you I'm a size 2, girl. That's a lie. That didn't hurt anybody. Right. I'm just a liar. You come in my closet, you're like, wait a minute.
You're manifesting.
You're an 8. But you said you were 2. So what? Right. I lied. Who cares? You know what? I'm just saying you can be a liar. I don't want to be that. But if you are, once it falls over into the damage category, now it's a crime. Mm-hmm. And that needs to be understood, that needs to be proven. And you're not exempt because you have a mental health challenge.
But don't they get away with it? So I don't know that the courts even have educated themselves on how to handle that. You see, the guy, is it why something out here? He's a part of the gang, and he's pretending to have mental health issues. So it seems like he thinks if he can trick the judge, which the judge has already said, please stop playing in my face. He thinks he'll get away with it.
But that's the point. That's the other thing. You can't trick that, because in reality, here again, let's use politics. Donald Trump is not well for real. But and I know that's not his name, but I call the other dude that's running now Swampy Swami, is trying to pretend to be a Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can't fake crazy. Mm-hmm. Sorry, you cannot, because the rest of us, this is going to be huge, and this is going to give you a different understanding. The reason that even Moniece and her illness mm-hmm. and her disorder, it's really hers is more of a personality disorder. Even Moniece, in a minute's time, her brain convinces her that what she's saying is true. Oh. Donald Trump is the same. even in the face of you're going to jail right now, he said, I'm willing to go in and testify because I did nothing wrong. He believes that. Now, the law is this phone is blue and it's blue, and no matter what, it's blue.
Mm-hmm.
And so, sir, is the phone blue? No, that it's not even a phone. And I'm standing by that because that's just what I believe. Now, the rest of us are going to lie for a reason. We're going to lie because we want to avoid a consequence, or we want to lie. You know, lies are to avoid hurting somebody's feelings or avoid being exposed of something we're ashamed of, whatever. But we lie with a consciousness of lying.
Knowing.
The
I
person
thought that he was just being an actor.
No, he means it. So here's the other thing. Here's how I can link you again to mental health. I'm giving you some hot tips. Donald Trump, Kanye West, same. And here's how I judge it now because of my life. Mm-hmm. This is normal. Mm-hmm. This is a ruler. And on this is what I'm going to call consensus norm. But on this ruler's spectrum, there's micro measurements of differences, but yet we're all still considered normal. Mm-hmm. We're not the same because our behaviors are on a varied spectrum. When it goes over here or over here, we have a pathology that is ill. Why do you say that, Marla? Because when you can no longer be productive in your relationships, in your business, you can't be in bed in business, you can't be in bed in a relationship, you can't be in bed with your kids, you lose your kids, you lose money. Kanye West literally lost $1 billion. That's not a fake thing. So the same with Monique, meaning not $1 billion, but the fact that the damage you've done to yourself, you can't stop. Mm-hmm. The damage, if Donald Trump could have just been able to just shut the hell up,
yes,
he probably would be, okay, he's not well. Because the rest of us don't continue to do this to our own detriment. When I really want a relationship, but no relationship works because I'm a mess. Mm-hmm. But you keep doing the same thing, and you're a mess in every relationship you get in for your life. And you've messed up relationships, you mess up the family, you mess up dating relationships, you mess up relationship with your kids, you mess up relationship with the people you work with, you're mad at everybody, you start this, and then, you know, everybody's doing you wrong, it's you. That's pathologically a problem as an adult, which is why you can't diagnose kids until they get to be a certain age. Mm-hmm. Some of that behavior is growth. Mm-hmm. Some of that behavior is natural individuation. I got to figure out who I am as an individual as I grow from a child into an adult. But then after a while, shame on you, 19-year-old child. You're going to punish me by doing something crazy. Guess what? I'm not going to jail. You are. But right. You're going to get back at me.
And I think that's why some people don't understand, because how do they know it's not emotional intelligence and it is a mental health disorder? And is there medicine for that? Like, is there some way to fix?
So when you have a personality disorder, you can only treat the symptoms. So with the personality disorder comes mind racing, comes what we call sticky behavior. They get a thought and that's it. Like, this is it. I can't, this is what I got. I'm going to do this. This is it. You can treat the symptoms, not being able to sleep, up for days, but you can't treat the chemical imbalance of a personality disorder, which is why the only thing that works is called dialectic behavioral therapy. And dialectic behavioral therapy must be done every day, 4 to 5 times a week. And what it does is, I just talked to you about the wise mind, the reasoning mind, and the emotional mind. Mm-hmm. And so when you have a personality disorder, you respond emotionally before you think about anything. So how that looks is this. You're looking at me right now. Mm-hmm. All right. If I'm a borderline, or if I have this disorder that I'm speaking of, my brain that would reason, Marla's brain balance. So my brain balance says, man, she's really intensely listening to what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Well, a borderline feels that they're being judged. So they're looking at you and they feel judgment from you. Mm-hmm. And so within a second, they make up their mind that you're judging them. And my wise mind has a history of also equally considering, well, she's been really, interactive up to now, and she's got a podcast, and I'm sure she talks a lot. All this is happening for me right away, which is or you might be judging me, but who the hell cares? You're not worth it. I don't have time to explode. That the other personality sees you looking, feels judged, and within a matter of a minute, the fuck are you looking at? Who are you looking at? And they explode on you. So 0 to 100 in 1 second, because the other systems, logic and wise and wisdom are gone. It's all feeling. I feel it. I feel this, which is why the borderline's statement is, I hate you. Don't leave me. Because there is no gray. You've done you're either the best thing that ever happened in all the world, which is why they have such sexual highs, or you're the biggest piece of shit, and everything I gathered in conversation and in confidence to destroy you is what I'm gonna do. Because that's how hurt I feel. But there's no logic in the middle. So I use my own life as an example. My husband leaves town all the time, and he's a member of a 10-time Grammy Award-winning group, so he's got fans and all that. How does that look for me? I recognize that even though we have a lot of fun together and he's gone and I might miss him, it's what he does for a living. I see when you get back. What that looks like for her is abandonment. You're cheating. You're a piece of crap. F you. That's how that goes down. And I've seen anger to the level with my own child, with Moniece, that would blow everybody's mind. Like email messages that don't even have words. They're just run on letters, and then words come up, and then, because that's how angry the rant is, even in writing. It's beyond what you don't understand it till you see it. And sometimes you're like, and I remember thinking in a crisis that we had long time ago when Cam was young, and she was so angry, and I was restraining her, and she was saying all kind of stuff, and I had her here, and I looked over at her 3-point hold, and I looked over and I thought, when I tell you her mouth was as white as my wristband, no color, no blood, none. And I remember instantaneously me still going, oh my God, I don't think I can get that mad. I don't think I can get that mad.
Oh, that is so scary.
I don't think I can get that mad. So she's at that point, murders happen, things happen. And when they come out of it, they're ashamed. But the reality is that's the truth of the matter. And it's beyond what is reasonable for the average human. When you're making me that mad, I'm walking away, because I'm also thinking about the consequences of snapping your neck. Like I'm not, they don't think like that.
My compassion goes out to you, because I don't think that people give you enough credit. I don't think they give you enough grace for the things, because they really just met your children. You've been dealing with this for years.
Since first incident of recognition, she was 4.
Are you kidding me?
It's been all the way through life. And I say that all the time. You pull up and you get a chair and sit in the bleachers for the last 200 meters of a race I've been swimming for 28 years. I've been swimming against the current for 28 years. And here you come with, what are you doing? I'm like, first of all, I don't hear you. Second of all, I'm asking you to stop participating, because that also feeds her.
Yeah.
So my true confession is, after 4 days of prayer, after leaving court, my coming forward and saying what I said was something I prayed about God to give me an answer of how I could handle this in a way that finally I could get the public. This was my honest intention. I was shocked actually at the response, which is naive me, because I felt like people would see a mom who was really just trying to be as transparent and honest as possible and maybe give you some insight. But I felt like if I can share this and explain why, and then just let time play out, and when this doesn't transpire, then maybe you'll understand because I called it what it was and said, and then I was out. Let's just see.
Mhm.
And that's where that went. And so, you know, I don't know.
I appreciate you sharing though. I appreciate you being transparent. Um, I think that, like I continue to say, more people need to know. We need to understand because I'm not gonna lie, like I adore your child, you
Right.
know, and that's how I was introduced to you because I saw you on the show, and then all of a sudden you disappeared, and then I saw
Because
you
I
on
wasn't gonna go
Instagram.
back on the platform ever again because their mission was to make America feel like I didn't love her. We can have differences, but sometimes a mother's love does what's needed. It doesn't do what you want. And I
Right.
tell people all the time, you can keep fanning out. I'm not a fan. So
Mm-mm.
I'm never gonna cheerlead any of my kids not making an effort to rise above and be their best selves. Sorry.
Right.
I didn't put kids on the earth for that.
Right. And I think that's something that we'll always continue to say. I'm not your little friend.
Right.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it is, to be truthful, I being my kid's friend was a goal. Once they
Really?
got once they were grown,
Mhm.
I looked forward to that level of relationship with my kids. Not
Mhm.
everything, because by then they already know respect. I mean, I'm not worried about you disrespecting me.
Mhm.
Like my daughter was saying the other day, the baby, Lexi,
Mhm.
she's like, it's just so interesting because even now at 30, there's certain conversations and language and things I would never have with you, and you're a clown. Like
Right.
we joke that she's the adult in the family because
Mhm.
I'm always, you should see the stupidness. Like,
You're enjoying life,
oh my
which
God,
is
I
what you
sent
should
her.
be doing.
But same with Moniece. I mean, Moniece actually had my heart when it came. Moniece and I are when Moniece was in a good space. Our personalities are actually more alike. Like the clowning and that's us.
Mhm.
Lexi's actually just, she's always been the hoity-toity. She's the mature one. So I've
Mhm.
been just messing her life up by sending her every time I see something that's ridiculous for the baby. She's having a
Mhm.
little boy, so she'll open the mail and she's like, "Would you grow up?" Because I sent a T-shirt that says for the baby that just T-shirt for the baby that says, what does the T-shirt say? Um, oh, back off. It says, back off. My grandma's crazy, and I'm not afraid to use her.
I know
And
that's
then
right.
something else, and then I sent her a urinal that's a monkey, and
Mhm.
the belly is barreled out, and he's got like testicles, and in the middle it spins. So when he gets ready to be potty trained, he
Mhm.
can pee and hit the thing, and so it keeps him from
Oh,
place.
no, that's cute.
It's all cute, but for her, she's like,
Cute.
"Are you
Uh,
really gonna every day I open the mail? Is this what you're gonna do?"
just wait till he comes. Yeah, and it's going to be even more when he gets there. And that urinal is something that she's going to definitely appreciate. My sister, that's how she potty trained her son,
Yeah, well,
with a
I had to
urinal.
drain the toilet and make a target.
Mhm.
I put a porcelain magnetic target for DJ
Are
because
you kidding
he
me?
would pee all over the wall. I'm like, dude, would you pay it? What are you doing?
Hmm.
Hit the target. Hit the
Hmm.
target.
Hmm.
So you teach them. But anyway, just a lot of fun. But that's my point is that Moniece is actually more of my heartbeat in that way. That I just can't do the other part of the behavior. But she and I are clowns forever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
And
do miss that, but I realized that I had to separate completely, and I can't engage anymore
mhm.
with the old system because whether you know it or not, behind the scenes, it was always severely broken. And and I was going to continue to be the scapegoat for everything,
Mhm.
that she won't get together about herself. So if I'm completely silent and not involved, then she's going to have to learn to manage these things called her.
Yeah. I hope that you guys will have a chance to be able to reconcile, which I'm sure you will.
Well,
I'm
we're
sure you.
far away from that at this point. We have had a couple of exchanges and not even hardly. Um, Again, it's going to be a minute because, as long as you're blaming everybody else for the reasons that you are where you are,
Mhm.
then you're not even, and like I said, the the level of personal disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
she uses her social media as a weapon. And the amount of personal disrespect without acknowledgement or you know, reconciliation for that, and I got nothing. You can't, you can't come on and call me a bitch and, write stories about, horrible things and post 4-page, things about me and my ex and all the stuff that she's saying that is just all because you started this train. See, that's the other thing. You want to talk about me going online. I got to meet the ball in which the force in which it comes,
Mm-hmm.
because this is something you must manage.
Right.
And you put me in it from
Mm-hmm.
jump. It's not even like you did this over here. And so for me, I recognize, which is why I brought up Krishan Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it looks like when that connection is in there, even though I'm sure she'll continue to struggle for a while in that relationship, because she's got to really understand her own worth.
Exactly.
And that for
exactly.
a lot of people takes a minute, and she's young, and then all this other Hollywood influence has a lot to do with,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing, believing that you're bigger than what you are. And in Monice's case, you have a family, she has a family that truly loves her.
Mm-hmm.
And Monice has an intact family that has always, and for us to all have to do this is deep, because we've endured a lot of stuff that is not ever going to be public. But she knows that.
Yeah.
But I'm no longer able to do that because it says I'm going to go back to the way it was. So if I were to come back into the situation with her at this point, Monice's way is to, oh yeah, well, my mom, she apologized, and no, that's the way she does it. So can't do that. And we love you, and that'll never be different. Got a great relationship with Cam. That will never be different. He's 13. He knows who everybody is on his own. And so, that fight I'm not having.
I think that people needed to hear that all of that stuff had nothing to do with you. And that there's a matter within herself that needs to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
And that's, as an adult, you can't force it on her. You can love her, but you gotta protect yourself. From the things that I've just heard, anybody with any logical common sense needs to understand that you can't keep putting yourself in the fire. It doesn't mean that you don't want to reconcile. It doesn't mean you don't love your child.
You get burned up, and my truth is this. I recognize I'm an ocean person. Mm-hmm. For years, it's like Monice has been out there drowning emotionally, and I jump in, and I'm a stronger swimmer, but she's pulling me under. And finally, I swam away to the boat and thought, okay, the only thing I have left to do is throw you this life preserver, because you're about to kill us both.
Yeah.
That's where I was. I was in a place of so desperate to save her from herself, mm-hmm. that it had destroyed me. I was just, I kept jumping in that. You mess up, and mom, call this person, and mom, can you call this person? And you're destroying these relationships, but I also see you hurting. So I'm the one that always has the logic. So you want to use me as a whoopee. And now I'm the cartilage that's no longer there. So now your life is bone on bone. So you're going to have to get a knee transplant, and then maybe we can walk together. But outside of that, I refuse to put myself, because I'm not even serving what God asked me to do. And to be totally honest, God chastised me. My chastisement was, I made you strong. You are in the way, because I've created you all. I mean, your kids came through you. You don't own them. They're not yours. And I've allowed these unique problems to happen. And it's up to get out of the way, Marla, because, that's cute. You think you can save them? Oh, that's funny. So as an adult, they're not children. Mm-mm. All I can do now, my love will never change. I will love you as much as I've loved you up close from afar. So you can contend with God and get it together. And my only prayer that I have left, and I'll end with this, is I pray every day that whatever you allow, Lord, to happen in an effort, I trust that you are saving my children, And please don't allow anything, the worst of the worst, to happen before you know I'm willing to accept your comfort. Because it doesn't look anymore the way that I think it would look. It could mean that they don't, their lives are lost. But in reality, as long as I know that you know, he's in the plan and he knows that I'm ready to trust that fully, then let it be what's going to be. Because their lives aren't my lives, aren't my life. It's theirs to live or lose.
Listen, I appreciate your strength. I respect your strength. And I hope to be as strong as you one day.
And I hope you
do.
don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish that my club had a club of one. I pray nothing befalls you in your life, you and your family and your kids, that ever put you in this situation, because it's rough as hell.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hope that you can come out of it. I think, and I'm an optimistic. Look, I took this leadership test, and it's like I am this hopeless optimistic. Okay. I believe everything is fixable. And that is something I always say. I hope that through prayer, and I do think you can fix everything through prayer and determination and just submitting, that something can change, something, even if
Right.
it's, you know, because I don't know, like even with those different personality traits or things that's going on, it's not a trait, it is a personality issue that's going on.
Right.
I think that
it's a malady. It's a malady.
With taking care of yourself, I see you working out all the time. That's one thing. You were playing pickleball.
I just played this morning. I'm a pickleball fanatic. I do not miss my pick. Don't play with me in pickleball. Don't get in the way of me and my pickleball.
I love it because listen, I want to play volleyball, but none of my kids will play with me. Okay, so
girl, start your own league. You don't need them.
You're right. You're right. I have to just start
and get a net. I used to have co-ed kickball games in LA. Just do it.
I'm gonna do it. The next time I talk to you, I'm gonna say, guess what? Guess what I did?
I'll be looking out for it.
Okay. All right.
So, very nice speaking with you. I hope it gave you some understanding. And I hope it's something that will benefit somebody somewhere. That's just the bottom line. My family is very aware, including my daughter, that I'm not going to ever stop sharing. So as much as she doesn't want me to do this based on what it feels like to her, I know that I have to do what God has asked me to do. In these circumstances, listen, this is too painful for it to not have purpose. Yeah. So I walk in my purpose every day, and that's just what it is.
And I appreciate you sharing, being so open. And I want her to know, your family to know, even if DJ runs upon this, to know you do everything you do in love. Even for you to have this conversation with me, just so everybody knows, you're very patient, very patient. And I appreciate that. And for you to speak to me, you have no idea who I am. I appreciate it. And it means the world to me. And I think that this was something that I was supposed to do. I've come in contact with a lot of mental illness this past month. And I'm not going to play with you. Like, I have a cousin that, of course, I'm very close to. My daughter's concerns that she's dealing with, but things on a large scale.
Right.
I was blown out of the water and really was just like, I don't know what to do.
Right. It's rough.
So,
so you have my support, and we'll continue to support each other. This is the way it works.
Thank you. Thank you. And anything that I can do, please let me know. I'll come out to California, help. If there's a way for you to come into our company, my company and this is separate, but I'm trying to bring this into our company as well, so that, because people don't know and we're starting to deal with it. And then triggers from the pandemic, they're starting to fall
huge.
over.
Yeah.
So if we can have
let's
something like
stay in
that
touch and see how we can network.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you so much, Ms.
You're welcome. All right. Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.